Okay, time for movie number 9 in my Best Picture Marathon. Best Picture Marathon theme song. Now, I'm a sucker for a good showbiz backstage drama, but boy, The Great Ziegfeld was tedious. The film was released in 1936, directed by Robert Z. Leonard. This is the 4th Best Picture winner for MGM. The Great Ziegfeld is a 3-hour biopic about Florence Ziegfeld Jr., the famed Broadway impresario who produced the Ziegfeld Follies and a number of other big musical hits on Broadway back in the 1890s up through around 1930-ish. One of his final productions was the famous musical Showboat. A movie version of Showboat was actually in production at Universal right around the same time as this. This movie actually started out as a Universal production, but the budget skyrocketed and Universal ended up selling the project to MGM. MGM spent a fortune on this movie, and you can see that on screen. One of the musical numbers in this, A Pretty Girl Is Like a Melody, was a massive undertaking on its own. It has 180 performers. It was done in 2 shots and cost over $200,000. Adjusted for inflation, that's about $5 million today for one sequence in this film. The production of this movie is opulent and lavish. Unfortunately, the story itself is tedious hagiography. A biopic that takes a lot of liberties with the actual history of Florence Ziegfeld, some of which may have been done out of respect, some of which was also due to the strengthening of the production code. With censorship now in full swing, some of the more risque elements of Ziegfeld's productions couldn't actually be shown on screen, including nudity. Ziegfeld is played by William Powell, an actor I've always liked. As part of the deal for Universal selling this project to MGM, Universal got to use MGM contract player William Powell in their film My Man Godfrey, which is a great screwball comedy. Ziegfeld's first wife is played by Louisa Rayner, who actually won an Oscar for this film. His second wife and widow, Billie Burke, who you might know from The Wizard of Oz, served as an advisor on the film and wanted to play herself since she was under contract at MGM, but MGM felt she wasn't a big enough star, and she was probably too old to play herself during the time period in the film. So that role is played by Myrna Loy. Myrna Loy and William Powell actually starred in 14 movies together, including the Thin Man series, which is wonderful. For me, the highlight of this movie was the appearance of Fanny Brice, playing herself. She had worked on stage with the real Ziegfeld at one point, and she's delightful in this. Of course, her life would later be dramatized in the musical Funny Girl. The Great Ziegfeld was a successful film for MGM, and it did spawn 2 sequels later on, one of which featured William Powell as Ziegfeld again, and it certainly is a monumental production. I just wish that it hadn't been so boring. There were several much better films that deserved the Oscar more that year, like My Man Godfrey, Dodsworth, Mr. Deeds Goes to Town, and Charlie Chaplin's masterpiece Modern Times, which was nominated for nothing. I feel like there's a really great 2-hour movie in this 3-hour behemoth, but that's not what we have. At least now I can say I've seen this one. Okay, up next, another biopic, The Life of Emile Zola. See you then!